Just got from my walk with my cat. We went 8 kilometers in my little walker that I have from a little stroller. However, I'm starting to get some of the lesions back, and what I'm going to do is I've been using iodine and baking soda, but what I'm actually going to do is I got some dandelions from our walk, and I made sure that I found a spot where there was no pesticides had been sprayed. So I've got a whole sink full of dandelion sprouts or dandelions that I have picked on our walk, and I put them in a bag and brought them home, washed them off, and I'm going to use my, um, what do you call this? Blender, my blender. I'm going to use my blender in order to blend them to make the cream. So that's what I'm gonna do, and that's what I'm doing right now. I keep getting stuff that keeps popping up on the shelf. Anyhow, this is all I've got. This is the camera that I've got, but I'm gonna show you how I do it. And basically, I wash them, and I use the synergy of the stem, and the flower. And so I chop them all up. I put them in the processor or blender, whatever you want to call it. It's what I got, and I puree them, and that's it. And then I put it in a little container in the freezer. And then anytime that I need, if I have a lesion that's open, or if I've had, a spot that's just not healing for me, I'll put the dandelion cream that I've made, I will put it in. Now, I used to put coconut oil, and I might put a little bit of coconut in it this time, but normally I don't. I don't put the coconut in, and I do have a full container of it. So, so I use this. So I do put a little bit in when I am actually using it, but when I'm freezing it, I'm just going to cut it up, chop it up into little pieces. I'm going to puree it, put it in a little container, and then put it in the freezer. Simple as that. No biggie, no big gafuffle, no big nothing, right? It's pure and it's natural, and that's what I choose to do. That's the route that I choose to go. So I've got the only cutting board I have. I gave all my cutting boards away. Okay, so I'm going to take a few of them. And the good thing is I don't have to be fancy, right? Because I'm using all of it. So I need my glasses. So I'm going to chop them up into tiny little pieces. And then I'm just going to put them right inside the blender. But it smells really good, and I'm telling you, it works. It helps the cells regenerate really fast. Now think about it, right? A weed, and this is how they do it in holistic medication. Um, they watch the plant to see what the plant does. If the plant has a wound, what happens? The plants actually have their own way of band-aids that they actually form a mucosa that actually will seal a cut. Yeah, so plants have a way of taking care of any injuries that they're dealing with or that they have to deal with. So if you look at weeds, right? Weeds grow rampant. They grow fast. They grow fast. And so think about it. It will regenerate those cells very quickly, right? Now in the process of cancer cells, right? Apoptosis is created when the cells multiply at such a speed that they actually kill themselves. They explode. They literally explode. And I did a video about this on my last channel that I deleted. Anyway, so yeah, so cancer cells, when they go through chemo, they will actually heat them at such a rate and such an intensity that the cancer cells will literally explode and they die, right? So that's how, but chemo also kills the good cells. So think about it, right? And these are weeds. I mean, look at the flower on that. Look at the bloom on that. Yeah, so these are weeds, and so weeds have a tendency to multiply very fast. And so what they use dandelion for is dandelion because the weed itself multiplies very fast. And you know, with barely any time, you could wake up one morning and the field is bare, and the next morning you wake up or you go for a walk and you come back and the field's full of dandelions. And that's how fast it works. And when I was using the dandelion years ago for my lesions that I had, that actually had developed in, the lesions I had actually developed in, I had one that developed into a melanoma on my forehead, and I had one that developed into a carcinoma on my chest. And the one on my chest, I still have the scar. I did treat it before I went in, and I treated it with dandelion, but you know, I kind of got a little scared because it was getting bigger and bigger. And so I went in, and what they did is they cut it off. They literally took the spot and they cut it off. And they told me to be very vigilant, and to watch to see if it came back. And at that point, I had a spot that I didn't have before. Okay, so they cut the one off on my chest. It's there somewhere. And it was only a tiny little scar. So after they cut it off, of course, I had to have like a Band-Aid over it. So I used the dandelion paste that I made, and I put it on the cut. I put it on the cut that they had taken the cancer spot off. And it healed like unbelievable, really fast, like really, really fast. And so I thought, hey, there's something to this, right? There is something to this. So, you know, I have a tendency to wait until the dandelions come out. And what I do when the dandelions come out is I will find a spot where they're not using pesticide, right? And I try to get to it before they, you know, before they decide to, oh, we got to get rid of this, right? So, you know, in the fields, if I see it in the fields and the fields aren't treated with pesticide, I will grab myself a lot of dandelions. So the area that I'm living right now, though, they have they're building like crazy. They're building long-term care units. They're building like all sorts of stuff, right? So I'm constantly inundated with that noise and the stress levels, and you know, the grounds and the fields are being cut up. I mean, we used to have a coyote that used to frequent the field where I live, and I haven't seen him for a while, but the one day I did see him, and he was walking with a limp. But when you phone, like, who do you call, right? Who do you call? So when I do call, I get a message that, or they tell me, well, really, there's nothing we can do about it, right? So, like, you know, it's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating to not, like, we have no control of our environment anymore. So, I mean, we don't control what pesticides they use, but then they say that the farmers or the backyard gardeners are contributing to the, you know, to the ozone layer depletion, but they don't talk about these other farms. And then I was watching a thing the other day, and they were talking about the fact that the government is saying, well, those are essential things, okay? So like the plastics, right? So we're going to stop making plastic, but only the plastic that other people use. The plastics that the government use, and the plastics that, you know, we need to make things that we need to use because we're a modern society, well, those plastics are going to be okay. Jesus. Like, Jesus. Yeah. So it's okay for you to use pesticides, and it's okay for you to farm, you know, constantly and you know, like, but a backyard farmer, you're going to stop them from having a garden? And you know, it's happening in the States. It's happening in the States. They went after some Amish farmer and took his freaking farm. They took his farm because he was what? He was selling milk to regular customers who need the probiotic that's in the milk. Yeah, yeah. But, yeah, they took his farm. Now, how's that possible? How can the government take your farm? Like, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. That should not be allowed at all. But, you know, I got no use for the I got no use for the government at all, in any country, We have criminals that are getting out of jail, okay? I mean, I think his name is Magnata. There's some guy was a nut bar and he was going around killing animals and strangling animals and he killed some person and he got, got a life sentence and now he's up for freaking parole. Come on, like what the hell? But you're going to take a farmer who was producing milk that had a probiotic in it. And you know what? We're made of viruses and bacteria. And, you know, that's part of our makeup. That's what we are. We're living, breathing ecosystems independently and separately. So anyhow, they're going to take his farm. So I'm just totally disgusted with the world. And then there's this thing that they want to teach our children um, in school. Our kids don't need to be watching porn in school. Our kids are there to learn math, science, and history. Like, come on. Like, that's a joke. That's a joke. And there was one thing that I seen, like, I don't even want to watch the news anymore because there was something on the news about a 50-year-old that was competing against a 13-year-old because he felt like he was 13 and so he competed and they let him. And I'm pretty sure it's in Canada, in my country. I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. And what the hell is this? Like thinking you're a cat? Some lady was on YouTube the other day and she was saying, well, my son thinks he's a cat. And so I took him into a veterinarian. What the hell? Like the mother's got some screws loose or something. You think your son's a cat. You did give birth to him, right? You weren't messing around with your cat, were you? Okay. Because it's impossible. It's impossible. Like, this ideology that's happening nowadays, they're taking it too far. I mean, we have had trans people in our lives forever. I've known lots of trans people and I love them, absolutely love them. And I know people who are homosexual and I got no problem with that. I know people who are lesbian. I got no problem with that. But come on, you're not a freaking cat. Like, you're just taking this, you're looking for attention. You're taking it out of the box. And you know what? I'm not getting involved in that shit. So I just put my opinion out there, but you know what? You can't be a cat. Anatomy, your anatomy is human. Yeah, it's human, human, human. Think about it. Damn it. Oh my God, shake your head. So this is what I'm going to do. So I have all of them in here and I'm going to puree it. I might have to put a little bit of water. Yeah, I might have to put some water in there. I have to put some water in there. Okay, let's try it again. And let's use stop. So I have to take a spoon and mix up the bottom of it because I've had this since I was married, this blender. I've had it for years. And I haven't been married for many, many years. The only thing that lasted in that marriage was a blender. Yeah. And I don't want to burn it out now, so we're going to try to scoop it up, chop it again. I would love to have a processor, but I can't afford it. So the blender is going to have to be. My tabby is big. He's like, Mom, what the heck are you doing? Watch this. You keep an eye on him. I'm going to turn this back on. So I've got an awful lot. I still have a lot of green left. So I think what I'm going to do is this one here. I'm going to put the coconut oil in and make the paste and put the paste right in here and then put it in the freezer. So I've got two little small containers and I'm going to do that. Now don't forget, I don't put this on top of the lesions unless the lesions have been opened, right? So when I had the one that was cut off my chest, to heal it, to entice the cells around that cut to multiply very fast, that's when I put the dandelion on. However, there was one instance where I had a closed lesion, but it was getting bigger. And what I did is I took a cotton swab, I think they're called cotton swabs, and I put a dollop of the dandelion cream that I made without the coconut oil, just a dandelion, and I put it on the cotton swab, and then I literally taped with medical tape the cotton swab really tight to the lesion, and I left it there. And when I put it on, it was a beautiful green color because it's the color of the dandelion, right? So it's kind of like this color here, right? So it was that color when I put it on. When I took it off, it was black. And what I researched and what I found out is that is the poison's actually being drawn out of my skin. So whatever was taking place, the cotton swab, the gauze itself that I had taped there, it was black, completely black, and they said that that's the poisons being drawn out. So that's just another holistic measure that I have learned over the years, and you know, it works for me. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to work for you. Maybe it's not your thing. Okay, maybe you're allergic to this type of stuff, and maybe you'll break out in a rash. I didn't. It worked for me, and it encouraged the growth of new cells to close the cut that they had made when they had removed the carcinoma. And I mean, it was healing, and the doctor said, you know, if I had an issue with it, to come back and they would check it. Since then, the doctor, my cancer doctor, has been elevated in his position, and he has gone, I believe, to another city, and he has become head of a department. He was very quick in finding the lesion very quickly, but I am also very quick at finding the lesions on my body, and I note when there is a difference in my skin or in any molds, right? So I'm very, very cautious about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two small things with the coconut oil in it because I'm running out of coconut. So I'm going to make two small, and I'm going to put the coconut in with the dandelion, and it's the root, the stem, and the flower. Everything's in here, the whole plant, right? And this is the root. So I'll show you the root. And apparently you can eat this stuff. I'm not eating it. But that's the root, right? So I soak them and then I puree them, and I puree them in with the whole dandelion, right? So, um, okay, so now it's fairly well. There's a few little strands in there, but don't forget I'm using a blender. I don't have a food processor, right? So this is a blender. So you take what you get. Okay, so now I'm going to take a couple of spoonfuls of coconut oil. I can get it out because I had it in the fridge. So I might have to. But so I'm going to put a couple of chunks of it in. Now it's you do what you got to do, right? So what the coconut does is the coconut actually holds it together. It's almost like it gives it that kind of form, right? And it's easier to use as a cream than it is to just smear the raw dandelion on. But if you're using a gauze, I think it's called the gauze pad, and you're putting it on there to draw the toxins out of your body. And you can do this by taping it to the bottom of your foot, to the little arch in your foot, or to your heel, or to the sole of your foot, right? So you put the dandelion root on the gauze, and then you use tape and tape it to the bottom of your foot and put a sock on, and then overnight see what comes out in the morning. And a lot of the times they do that with tea bags. They'll do it with tea bags, and they will draw the toxins out with the tea bags. An herbal remedy. I mean, it works. It works. It's been known to work for many years, many centuries, my friends. Okay, so let's try this. This is the time when I would like to have a food processor. This is so frustrating, but it is what it is. So this is what it looks like. It looks like goulash. It looks like I don't know, but whatever works, right? So I gotta make sure that the coconut oil is all broken up. So I might need to use a fork. Let's see. You can tell that this is an old blender because the blades aren't as sharp as they used to be. Okay, so now we're gonna put some in the little container and we'll put it in the fridge. But look at how beautiful it looks. I mean, well, it doesn't look beautiful, but not bad. It's pretty smooth for a blender. Like, like seriously. You do what you gotta do, right? Oh, there's one piece that didn't blend. And that is what it looks like. So if you want to use it for your feet, right? Let's say you want to try it. You don't want to commit to it, but you want to try it. So just pick up some dandelions from a field where you know that there hasn't been any pesticides, and give it a try. Like, put it in your blender, make a small batch of it, put a tiny little bit of coconut oil in it, and then put it on a gauze and tape it to the bottom of your foot. And in the morning, I mean, note the color of the gauze, okay? Not just the color of the dandelion, because that will turn dark. But notice the color of the gauze itself. The gauze itself will literally absorb the toxins that are coming out through the bottom of your feet. So, and that's it. That's all there is to it. And it smells really, really good. I think I put too much in there. I won't be able to close it, so let's take some of this out. And then with the coconut oil in it, it will solidify. So just got to let it cool down, and it will solidify. And there you go. These little things, I've had these for years. So I don't believe in plastics, but I am going to see if I can get some glass ones. This is what I'm going to use for my skincare on my chest. And as you notice, I have 3 spots that are coming back, and I've been using the iodine on them. I also have a couple of spots up here that are coming back, and that's when I'm very vigilant. So we're going to make sure that, you know, I plan on being around next year. I don't plan on meeting my maker anytime soon. So whatever happens, the good Lord will be the one that's in control. But it doesn't mean I have to sit down and say, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to wait for my end, right? I'm going to put the effort into my life. I quit smoking. I quit eating a lot of trans fats. There you go. So there's the second one. I think I should be able to do that. And these are going to go in the freezer. So I've got 2 little containers. I have a little bit left in here. I have 1 more small container, and then I have all this. And I'm going to puree this up without any coconut oil because I'm running out of coconut oil. So until I get more, this is going to be the extent of that, and the rest is going to be just pureed and frozen like that. Now, I do know that you can eat dandelion leaves. You can eat them. I think they use the flower for tea, but I'll have to research that. I haven't done it. But, you know, nature gives us what we need, and we just have to be smart enough to learn how to use it. So I'll see you on the next video. The good Lord be willing.